And the Oscar goes to Clint Eastwood for Unforgiven.
Clint Eastwood has never been one for idle praise.
Yeah, this is pretty good. This is all right,
With a public persona built on stoicism and a career defined by economical storytelling and lean, taut performances, the notion of Eastwood waxing lyrical about his idols might seem uncharacteristic, but probe a little beneath the weather-beaten exterior and you'll find a man who has spent a lifetime paying quiet tribute to the actors who shaped his vision, not only of cinema, but of character, morality, and masculine expression. Of these influences, one name stands out above the rest. I was never a fan of any one particular actor outside of James Cagney, Eastwood told interviewer Patrick McGilligan with an almost startling certainty. I always thought he had a great style and great energy.
Hey! Hey, buddy! Pull up, let me out of here, will you? What do you want, the whole block?
To call James Cagney Eastwood's favourite actor is more than a biographical detail. It offers a key to understanding Eastwood's cinematic philosophy, both as performer and director. The choice is telling. Not a Western hero, not a strong and silent type like Gary Cooper, but Cagney, the pugnacious dynamo of Warner Brothers, who made his name playing gangsters and song and dance men with equal panache. Cagney, Eastwood explained, was fearless. He added, he was never afraid to be outrageous. He didn't worry about being pretty or playing to the audience. He just committed 100% every time. Therein lies the attraction. While their screen styles differ, Cagney all staccato movement and electric intensity, Eastwood all coiled silence and slow burn authority. Both actors understood the power of physical presence. Both could convey character through posture and expression rather than dialogue. And both were instinctive performers who trusted in the moment. Cagney's turn in White Heat as Cody Jarrett, the psychotic mobster with a mother fixation and a death wish, left an indelible mark on Eastwood.
It's going?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That scene on top of the gas tower, Eastwood recalled, referring to the explosive climax in which Jarrett meets his end. It was just incredible. He was terrifying, but also tragic. That's a rare combination. If Cagney was Eastwood's North Star, then Gary Cooper was perhaps the moon, cool, distant, and quietly illuminating.
It doesn't spoil anything, does it? And we must always compromise with the general taste, Mr. Roth. You understand that, I'm sure. No.
He could say more with one look than most actors could with a whole monologue, Eastwood once said. There was a naturalism there, a sort of quiet confidence. I learned a lot watching his films. It's not difficult to trace the influence. In High Noon, Cooper's Marshal Will Kane is a man isolated by duty and conscience, an image that resonates powerfully with Eastwood's own protagonists in Pale Rider, High Plains Drifter, and Unforgiven. Eastwood's characters, like Cooper's, often move through moral landscapes where certainties have dissolved, and righteousness is a lonely burden.
Who's the fella who owns this shithole?
Yet while Eastwood admired Cooper's restraint, it was Paul Newman who showed him what could be done with range.
Well, you don't leave much when you miss, do you, fat man? That's what the game's all about.
Paul had that charm, Eastwood said, but he never coasted on it. He picked interesting roles, he challenged himself. There's something to be said for that. Newman's career, particularly in its second half, was marked by bold choices, and a willingness to appear flawed, vulnerable, even ridiculous. Eastwood, though rarely equated with Newman in style, mirrored that trajectory in his later work, films like $1 Million Baby and Gran Torino revealing a filmmaker increasingly preoccupied with mortality, failure, and forgiveness.
You're not breathing right, that's why you're panting. So it's your birthday, huh?
There were others too. Eastwood has spoken with admiration for Spencer Tracy, another master of naturalistic acting.
Elaborate? I don't mind elaborating. Most of you were in church this morning. If you didn't see that poor chap, you heard him, I'm sure.
Yes.
He never looked like he was acting, Eastwood once remarked. He just was. That's the goal, really, to disappear into the role. Steve McQueen also earns Eastwood's respect, not just for his screen presence, but for his off-screen instincts.
What were you doing, Bazavaya?
Well, like I told Max, I was trying to cut my way through your wire because I want to get out.
McQueen, Eastwood noted, knew how to hold the screen. He knew when to move and when to stay still. That's half the battle. But it is Cagney who remains central to Eastwood's cinematic universe, not simply for his performances, but for his example, a man who forged a path without compromise. Cagney left the studio system when it no longer served him, turned down roles that didn't interest him, and retired on his own terms. He didn't play the game, Eastwood said. He did it his way, and he was damn good at it. This independent spirit is something Eastwood has emulated throughout his career. From directing his own vehicles to funding passion projects and defying studio pressure, Eastwood has carved a similar path of quiet defiance. In the director's chair, Eastwood brings a similar ethos. He prefers few takes, natural lighting, minimal rehearsal.
My theory in directing actors is to not insert the ego. I've worked with, having come up in that side of the business, I'm very, very sympathetic to the securities and insecurities, the securities that are necessary and the insecurities that are unnecessary to make a good performance.
He trusts his actors, as he once trusted the actors he watched in the darkened cinemas of Depression-era America. Let the actor find it, he often says. Don't overthink it.
I learned a lot from Clint. Very importantly, it's an anecdotal thing that he doesn't say action or cut, which, you know, you kind of go, well, who cares? But what it does is it creates this world where the difference between the time when you're not shooting to the time when you're shooting, it all becomes one process.
In this approach, one sees the residue of Cagney's instinctive style, Cooper's minimalism, Newman's curiosity. Eastwood has never tried to mimic any of them, but they are all there, layered into his method. Perhaps the most telling insight came during the filming of Mystic River. Watching Sean Penn wrestle with the emotional complexities of his character, Eastwood reportedly pulled him aside and said simply, "Don't act it, just feel it." That, in essence, is the Eastwood philosophy, shaped by the actors he reveres. And while his image remains that of the flinty lone wolf, his artistic DNA is anything but solitary. It is a collage, forged from admiration and influence, study and instinct. So when Eastwood cites James Cagney as his all-time favorite, it is not a throwaway compliment. It is a confession of allegiance. It is a nod of respect from one great actor to another, from one rebel to a fellow traveler. It is, above all, an admission that even the toughest men need heroes.